Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fan Frenzy podcast. I'm your host, Chris Borgia, alongside co-host Ben Lotman, Gabe Layden. You know, it's been a long road so far. Episode 4. How we feeling, guys?
Yeah, just really excited. We're starting baseball season. Opening day is being played as we're recording this. So really exciting getting into baseball season. It's March Madness, just a great time all around.
Love to hear it. How about you, Gabe?
Doing great. So excited for this episode. It's gonna be a good one. Baseball season starting, like Ben said. Sweet 16 today. It's been an interesting March, so let's get into it.
Yeah, make sure before we get in this episode, make sure you guys like, you subscribe, you comment. We appreciate all the feedback. We want to make this show better for you guys and better for us. So we enjoy all the support that we get. It goes very far. Trust me. Getting into it though, today we're going to touch base on some March Madness, some baseball, obviously our player of the week, and some other stuff. Let's get into it though. So far we've had a lot happen in March Madness since our last episode. We kind of just touched base on who we said was going to be in our Final Four, and you know, history has happened since then. So, is there any route you guys would like to start, or do you just want me to pick a route?
I mean, you go ahead. You go ahead. You pick.
All right, let's go with the best storyline this March Madness, as in Oakland with Mr. Jack Golke, who is an absolute monster of a player, and decided, guess what? I'm gonna destroy everyone's brackets because everyone picked Kentucky, including myself. I am one of those guys who picked Kentucky. So I mean, let me hear it. Did you two pick Kentucky too?
Yeah, yeah. I, yeah. I pick Kentucky. How about
I
you,
had
Gabe?
Kentucky to lead Elite Eight, so that was right off
Oh,
the bat. That was a tough one.
that was rough for most of us. But like, let's get into it though. What do we think on Jack Oakey? I mean, what a monster of a player, guys! Like, he really balled out in March. And I
Yeah,
think a lot of funny things that were brought up was like, oh well, I want it more than some of them, and like some people after the game happened, I saw tweets on Twitter where it was like a bunch of future NBA players on Kentucky just lost to a bunch of future accountants. Just let that sink in,
yeah.
which I thought
I'm
was really funny.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Jack Golke now put his name on the map as like a guy that could. I mean, if you shoot, he's shooting 50% from three. Now, it's interesting. I think the craziest part is not even his shooting from three, but the fact that he only shot 8 2-point shots the entire season and he was like a full-time starter. Like, I don't even know how that's possible. And it's just crazy. Like, this is why we all love March. Like, you just have these storylines that come up out of nowhere. Like, sure, a lot of people picked like James Madison to beat Wisconsin, for example, or some of the other upsets that happened, but I feel like nobody picked Oakland. Like, I think Kentucky was one of the
No,
sleeper teams to make the Final Four. I mean, they had Rob Dillingham, they had Reed Shepard, guys like that who are elite players, going to both be top 10, maybe top five picks going into next year's draft. So I think it's just really exciting. And this just goes to show that a perfect bracket will never happen, ever. There's no way it'll ever happen. I refuse to believe it.
that's why. What's the name of that guy who's like, oh, I'll put $1 million down, then nobody will ever have a perfect bracket. Do you know who I'm
Warren
talking
Buff,
about?
yeah, Warren Buffett said he'd give somebody
Yes,
that gets a perfect bracket $1 million
yes,
dollars.
yes. That's
Yeah,
that's that's true. That's literally insane to think about. Uh, but like, dude, I'm kind of still sitting here like just in my thoughts because I just never would have thought Oakland beating Kentucky. I really just did not see that. I mean, I had a few upsets that I picked myself. Like I picked Colorado over Florida, which
I
was a
also did.
fun one. That I liked that one. I was at a party with my boys and I saw the game-winning shot and I was like, "Oh my god!" That was a fun game and it was a high-scoring game too, which made it
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I had some good upsets too.
who'd you
Missed
have?
on some. I also had I had the one you just said. I had James Madison beating Wisconsin as well. Um, and then I think the most painful game of the tournament for me, Gabe will know about this because I had an extensive conversation with him about this before the recording started. But Texas A&M, I had them winning the first round, and then I had them beating Houston. And they had the most. This is the game of the tournament so far. It's one of the best games I've ever seen in March. The Houston versus Texas A&M game. I don't know if you got to watch that game, Chris, but Texas A&M was down double digits with under 2 minutes left, stormed all the way back, hit a crazy game-tying three at the end of regulation with one of their worst
I know
three-point
what you're
shooters.
talking about.
This
Yeah.
guy shot like 26% from three throughout the
They
season.
lost though, right?
They lost in
Yeah.
OT. And the really painful part about it was the fact that Houston had 4 starters that fouled out at that point. Now
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M had 2 guys that inevitably fouled out as well, but Texas A&M should have won this game. They shot an insane amount of free throws. I'm trying to pull up the number here. They shot 45 free throws. 45. And they shot 65%. If they would have shot 70% from the free throw line, that game wouldn't have even been in overtime. So, Texas A&M should have won that game, and I would have looked like a genius. But you can't win them all. Can't win them all.
I was really preying on the downfall of Houston against
Yeah.
Longwood. I really was pushing that. I picked Longwood. I was hoping that it would have been the Oakland story and not Oakland, just Longwood instead. I still do not like Houston to this day, and some of my buddies have them winning it, and I'm like, no, go home. Tired of you. They're not winning it. It'll wind up being UConn more than likely. More than likely, it looks like we'll see tonight. Though they have a tough game tonight.
Yeah.
And speaking of a tough game, I actually want to touch base on that game because there's a guy that nobody talks about that I really like who's in that game. Who do you think I'm talking about here?
In the UConn San Diego State game?
Mm-hmm. There's one player that I really like. He's been cooking.
Oh, is it? Hold on.
You have any idea who I'm talking about, Gabe?
Jaden Ledee. I love Jaden.
Yes.
Ledee.
Yes.
He's so
yes.
good.
Yes.
I was talking to
He
Gabe about him the
is
other day
a
too.
monster of a player. He's
so
a
good.
monster. I never recognized his game until somewhat closer to this year. And ever since I started watching him, he's a smooth player. Like, to kind of put it into perspective, and if I had to relate him to another player, if you watch Darius Garland when he first started coming out in the league and started doing really good, his shots looked easy. It looked like every shot he took, he did it with ease and it was smooth. He hit no rim. None.
Yeah.
And that's the way I see him. He's insane, and he's the big reason why they're this far.
Yeah.
And if he somehow, knock on wood, if he somehow beats UConn tonight, I'm gonna question my existence.
Yeah. Well, you wanna get into our predictions for the rest of the tournament then?
A few more stories.
Oh, you got
we're
a few
gonna touch
more.
base on.
All right. Well, we'll get to that. Stay tuned.
And then we'll get to that. Next player I want to touch base on. What do we think about DJ Burns?
So
big boy.
I just want to talk about NC State as a whole. I mean, I think they deserve a little double clap, but that's it. They don't get a full clap. They get a little baby clap. I'm gonna own up to the fact that I may or may not have picked them to lose in the first round.
So did I.
And
I'll take that one.
Yeah, I'll take that one on the chin because I thought they had run out of steam. I thought they used all that momentum and all that energy. They won 5 games in 5 days in the ACC tournament, which another storyline to talk about the ACC and the Big East not getting the representation I think they deserved. I think we can get to that after this. But look, NC State has outplayed any expectations anybody had for them even 2 weeks ago. I mean, nobody expected them to make March at all, let alone win 2 games and now make their run to the Sweet 16. But you talk about a guy in DJ Burns. I mean, what a player. Just has amazing footwork for being a guy that large. you wouldn't expect that for a guy that large. And he sometimes goes cold, but when he's hot, he's hot. And then you got a perfect pick and roll option with DJ Horn at the one guard position. He's just been an elite scorer down their past few games, and this team looks like they're just going to be a really hard team to beat. I mean, they just very easily beat Texas Tech. Like, it wasn't really a close game at all. And then they play a really hot Oakland team and they put them away. I mean, that was a closer game, but Oakland was incredibly hot.
Mm-hmm.
And DJ Bourne had 24 and 11 that game. And this NC State team is dangerous. I'm really scared because I have Marquette in my Final Four in my bracket. Am I going to change that? We'll find out later in the predictions. But it's going to be that's going to be a super fun matchup because Shaka Smart's a defensive genius, but DJ Burns is just a monster. I don't know if anybody in the country can slow him down right now.
DJ Burns, like, size-wise, kind of reminds me of, like, a Zebo, in a sense. Do you see the reference there? They're both like real big dudes, good offensively, good defensively, like, because he plays center, Burns, yeah.
Yeah.
The only difference was Zebo is more of a 4 than a 5, but like I said, they're both about the same size. I mean, how tall is Burns? What's he, like, 6'9", 6'8"?
He's got to be.
Zebo is about 6'10", 6'11".
Yeah, DJ Burns is listed at 6'9", so.
Okay. Yeah, so kind of like the same. I got 2 more storylines, and then we'll touch base on predictions. Next storyline, Keisei Tominaga. Dog.
Well, I mean, I feel like the storyline that was lost in this tournament, or the storyline that could have happened, I feel like people were, before the tournament, so hype about this guy. I kept hearing all this, and I'm like, dude, they're gonna lose to Texas A&M. Like, that's a horrible matchup for them, and they lost. And I will say, he didn't perform up to the standard that I thought he would that game. He kind of got locked up, which fits. I mean, Texas A&M, as I said, they're an athletic team. I talked to Gabe about, I was really high on this Texas A&M team going into the tournament. I was saying they're just a really athletic team, and they got a guy in Wade Taylor who can get hot, get cold, and you saw that this game he got hot. The game they lost for Houston, he was absolutely horrible. So there's that. But Gabe, I want to hear what you think about Tom. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Ben was a big Texas A&M guy going in even before the tournament began, and yeah, you had him upsetting Houston, right? And
yeah,
I mean, they got dangerously close. I was with you obviously when we were watching that game. I didn't have Texas A&M making it past the first round. I thought that they had a lot of momentum even last season with Wade Taylor the fourth, and I just felt like they didn't have that same consistency. And sure, consistency. Even if you lack consistency, you can win a game just because inconsistent teams, they win games, they lose games, right? That's how it works. I was less so about Tominaga than I was just about, like, the inconsistency and the bad shooting performances from A&M. And I didn't see them even getting close once they advanced, obviously, against Nebraska. I didn't see them touching Houston with their defense. And I mean, that was just an insane end to the game. I have Houston making the Final Four, which is something we'll get into later and something I had from the beginning. I'm getting a little nervous now, though. I'm getting a little nervous now after that OT win against A&M. When you see Damian Dunn touching the floor, which, don't get me wrong, he was a great player for Temple, but when you see him touching the floor for Houston, usually it's not a great sign.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I was lucky. Ben would have blown me away in the bracket challenge that we're in if A&M had got past him there. So I still have a lifeline. I'm hanging on by a thread with that Houston win.
You know what's weird about, they kept showing his girlfriend. Like it was so weird. They showed his girlfriend like the whole broadcast. I don't know if you watched the Texas A&M Nebraska game, but
Tominaga?
Yeah, they kept showing his girlfriend. Like, it was so. I mean, I felt like they did. They showed her a lot celebrating, which, whatever. I mean, they sometimes they'll cut to people's, like, with the coach's wife, or like somebody's girlfriend or something, like every once in a while. But they showed her so much, like the NCAA was trying to push this storyline like so hard. It felt like because they made a post about him before the tournament started. I remember seeing it, and Bleacher Report did also. And don't get me wrong, he seems like a passionate guy. I love passionate players, but it was it kind of felt like it was a little too much before he had proven it on the big stage, if you get what I'm saying.
And are you
No.
talking about the picture where he was crying too? Because that just seemed to be forced everywhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, like,
By the
yeah,
way-
it happens.
by
It's
the
an
way-
emotional sport.
By the way, where can he replace the Joel Embiid meme, please? Because I'm tired of seeing the Joel Embiid cry meme. Make his like the new meme. I like, come on, guys, be fair to Joel Embiid.
You know what I will say? I do follow Tominaga on Instagram. I don't want to throw this out there just because I feel really bad for the guy, and I do like him a lot. He posted a day ago, he put, "Thank you for an amazing college basketball career. Love you, Husker Nation. College basketball is over. I was so happy to play in front of the best fans for 3 years with a lot of experiences. I will continue to work hard towards my dreams." Respect to him. I hope he goes far. Listen, the way I see the NBA now is the fact that if a guy like Marquise Noel from if you know, can
Yeah,
make
he was
it
a bop.
onto an NBA team, so can a guy like Tominaga. Is the way I believe it. Marquise Noel is like 5'10". So
Yeah,
1,000,000%. A quick shout out to former Sixer Georges Niang commenting on the Tominaga's post and saying hell of a career 30. That's a phenomenal 3-point shooter
Bang,
right
bang.
there. Yeah, bang bang Niang.
Yeah.
Minivan. So respect to that. And for our last storyline, this guy, this is my guy. This is my guy. I have him in my Final Four, and he's gonna catch a dub tomorrow. And that's Jared McCain. That is my
La, la,
guy.
la, la.
That is my guy. What do you think, Gabe? You like Jared McCain?
I was a Duke fan growing up. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
I like it. I like it.
It's an exciting team. It's a really fun team to watch.
Is that like your
I'm gonna
number
put
one
this one
college
out.
basketball team?
I'm 2 days
It's always
in
Temple.
college, 4
Once I
lectures
committed to
behind.
Temple, everything
Besides
else was,
Temple, put Temple aside for a minute. Put him aside for a
I'd
minute.
say Seton Hall number 2.
Really?
Which, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
they should have been in here right now, but I mean, we won't get into that right now. Whatever.
All right. Well, go on
I
though
like
about
Duke.
Jared
I
McCain.
still respect Duke. Jared McCain is an exciting player. He started off the game, like 6 for 6 from 3.
Yup.
Just electric. And it's
Yeah.
funny because you see him so much on TikTok. You see him with his painted fingernails and other stuff. You forget he's a hooper. That guy can play. And
See,
like
Dude,
he's a lot
he's a good singer, bro.
I'm gonna-
fall into the top
I'm gonna
10.
tell you this. Certain athletes can pull off using TikTok correctly where they're just doing it for fun and they're enjoying themselves, they're having a good time, and they're just overall positive people. For example, one of my favorite players in the NBA is Jalen Williams, J-Dub. Great guy. He's very positive all the time. Very happy. Both of them, actually. Both him and the other Jalen Williams on the Thunder. And that's kind of how I see Jared McCain. He's a real positive guy. Some people who use TikTok who are athletes aren't positive. At Juju Smith-Schuster, you're a bum. Mahomes made your career. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, he's a real positive guy. That's why I like him. That's why I'm supporting him.
Yeah.
There was did
he's-
you guys wind up seeing that whole TikTok thing that came out with him too? There was like a whole controversy over it.
What controversy?
There was a girl, one of his classmates made a video saying,
Oh, yeah,
The TikTok class?
yeah.
That is the next. Okay, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the UNC Swahili classes, where I think all the basketball players signed up to take Swahili as their language, and then they were interviewed later on. They couldn't speak a word of it. This is that class at Duke University. What are they teaching in TikTok class? I don't know what's going on there. I think that girl, she made a video of who shows up to TikTok class like the day after they won, I think they're around a 32
Yeah, but do you
game or
know
something
the
like
controversy behind it?
that. No, keep going.
I think part of it was that, if I read it correctly, it sounded like because she called them basketball kids, that people turned it into a problem.
Well, that's dumb, dude.
I mean, she was referencing the basketball team. I mean, I don't know.
See, some people took offense to it. Which I'm saying here,
I'll
I'm
give them
like,
that.
come on.
It's a weird way to okay, let's see if anybody from the basketball team shows up to class. Yeah, put it like that. That's just so much easier. Basketball kids. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it is a little bit of a weird term, but I mean,
Yeah.
she meant it with no disrespect. So
Of
To be
course
fair,
not. Of course not. Or else
Yeah,
she
to be-
would have
I hope
winded
not,
up
at
posting
least.
it on TikTok. She wouldn't have
yeah,
posted
I
it
mean,
on
I
TikTok.
thought it was a good video because I was like looking forward to seeing which guys would show up. Obviously, I knew.
And it was Jared McCain and
Of course, it would be Jared McCain. He's hey guys, he's 3 lectures behind already. So he's 2 days into college and he's 3 lectures behind. So sorry,
I love him,
sorry.
dude. He's the man. Moving on into our predictions. Take it away, one of you two. Start us off.
All right. So are we gonna go like each game, or should we just go through our whole rest of our thing?
No.
Or
No, let's you know what, we'll go through it like this. We'll rapid fire it, and we'll go through game per game, leading all the way up to the championship, and then we'll give how many points we got in the championship and who's gonna win.
all right.
UConn versus San Diego State. Take your picks. I'm going with UConn, but do not be shocked if Jadon Lee comes out the gates and snipes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I still don't think it's gonna be. I think UConn's gonna blow by San Diego State. Like not as bad as the other 2 games they had, but they're gonna win by more than 10. So I have UConn.
Take your pick, Gabe.
Originally, I had Auburn, UConn in that matchup, and I had Auburn upsetting the #1 seed in the country. Unfortunately, things didn't turn out the way that they.
You know, I lost
Did,
Auburn
or that I
and
thought
St.
they did.
Mary's in the same day, so that really stung.
It's a tough one, yeah. So
Go
I
on.
think UConn is just looking too good right now. I'm taking UConn, unfortunately.
All right. Illinois and Iowa State. This is a rough one for me.
See, for me, this is easy.
I think
I
I'm gonna
think-
go with Iowa State.
Wow. I have Illinois. But you
I
look
think I'm gonna go with Iowa State.
Illinois has the #1 ranked offense. Iowa State has the #1 ranked defense. And for me, I think good offense beats good defense. And Illinois' defense is okay versus Iowa State's offense just being not that great. So I'm taking Illinois. I think it's going to be a very close game. It's going to be a really fun game to watch. But I got Illinois taking that one.
Yeah, Gabe.
Yeah, Ben actually just took the words right out of my mouth. I have Illinois. Does offense beat defense 10 times out of 10? Maybe not, but like when you have a team like Iowa State that relies entirely on their defense, it seems like, versus Illinois that, yeah, their defense isn't all there, but they have their offense going all the time, and their defense when they need it is there. I think the lesser of the 2 worst kind of takes an advantage there. I'm going Illinois to advance.
All right. Next up, we have UNC and Alabama. You know, I didn't have Alabama making it here.
I didn't either.
I had
Really?
St. Mary's. Yeah.
Really? I had I may or may not have had Alabama losing in the first round.
Okay, that's pushing it.
I may or may not have had Charleston in my Sweet 16.
Now, as for picks, this is tough. You know what? One of you 2 go first.
Yeah, Gabe, you go ahead.
I had my national champion. Oh, well, actually, whatever. I just spoiled it anyway. I'm a national champion, UNC, taking this. Alabama has an amazing offense. They scored how many points against Charleston in the first game? 109. I think Armando Bacot is a monster in the paint. And Bama has the offense, but I think UNC, when it comes down to it, is just a better program. And they take it.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the only way Alabama wins this game is if Mark Sears goes for 30 plus. And while that could happen, I don't know how they're going to stop Armando Bacot. I don't think they have, that interior defensive presence on this team. And so I very reluctantly have to pick the North Carolina Tar Heels to advance here.
This is probably the hardest pick for me out of them all. I think I'm feeling Roll Tide. Psych! I'm going UNC. I was messing around the whole time. I wanted to just psych the people out. And for anyone who's thinking I was picking Alabama. Next up, we have Clemson and Arizona. What are we
So
thinking on that one?
I really, in my heart of hearts, have a bad feeling that Clemson is going to win this game. Like, because I'm telling you, the ACC is so good, but I'm going Arizona for one, because I think it should happen, and two, because I want to see UNC versus Arizona. I want to see Caleb Love face against his old team. I think that would be an insane matchup to watch. So I'm picking the Arizona Wildcats.
I'm gonna go with Arizona. I have Arizona in my final four. So yeah. Gabe?
Yeah, like Ben said, Caleb Love has his sights set on UNC. There's no denying that at this point, and I think they get past Bama, like I said before. But that's dangerous. When you're looking ahead too far, sometimes you get caught up and you don't realize what's in front of you with Clemson, who I had losing the first round, but they convincingly beat New Mexico. They beat Baylor, the 3 seed. I wouldn't be shocked if Clemson wins this game. Again, I have a bad feeling about that. I'm sticking Arizona just because that's what I had originally, but I think it's a toss up for me because I think Caleb Love is looking too far ahead potentially.
That's fair. That's fair. Houston and Duke. Give me Duke. I do not like Houston. I'll never like Houston. I will never support Houston. I will pray on their downfall every year. Give me Jared McCain and Duke.
Gabe, I want to go last here.
I wonder why. It's a really tough one for me. Duke is looking amazing this tournament so far. Houston is struggling. I mean, not against Longwood, but they struggled against A&M. I think everybody's going to have their eyes on Duke. Everybody's going to have them upsetting Houston, but I think Houston stays strong. They're defensively just so nice. I think they advance against everybody's expectations, which is ironic because they're the 1 seed. I think they find success in March this time around.
Yeah, so looking at this game, the Houston Cougars right now are 4.5-point favorites, which I think is insane that the line's 4.5. I'm taking before I say anything, if you don't take Duke to cover, I don't know what you're doing, because 4.5 points, giving Houston 4.5 points right now is insane in my opinion. But you look at these two teams, and roster wise, they're very similar to each other, except for one player, and that's the X factor in this game, and that's Kyle Filipowski. I don't know who on
Dog.
Houston is going to be able to defend Kyle Filipowski. Kyle Filipowski is really good in the post, and what he's figured out this season as compared to last season, and I know this because I watch almost every Duke game because I'm a Duke fan. He's figured out how to pass it out of the post. And Duke now has guys like Jared McCain alongside other guys like a Tyrese Proctor, who hasn't even been that good this tournament. If he gets going from the 3-point arc, this team is going to be unbeatable. And I think they're going to be unbeatable this game. I think it's a bad matchup for Houston. I think Houston would have rather played any other 4 seed, even any other 3 seed right now. I mean, this Duke team's hot. They match up really well. I'm taking the Duke Blue Devils. Let's go, Duke.
Next up, our guy DJ Burns up against Marquette. I think
Okay.
I think here I really like Marquette, but I think I'm gonna pick NC State for fun. I'm gonna
Okay.
pick NC State for fun. DJ Burns ain't done yet.
Yeah, I love DJ Burns. I love NC State's story, but I think this is going to be the end of the line. This Marquette basketball team is really probably Shaka Smart's best team he's assembled. Just a really strong all around roster, full of guys that can score and defend. And you look at the X factor here, and it's Tyler Kolleg. Tyler Kolleg is a senior guard, 6'3", one of the best ball handlers in Division One right now. He can pass, he can score when he needs to, and NC State doesn't really have a guy I feel like that can defend him very well. I think he's gonna dissect that defense, and I think NC State could keep up with them offensively, but I don't think NC State's defense will be able to slow down Marquette. So in the end, I'm gonna pick Marquette in a very close ball game.
I agree with I agree with Ben here. I think the NC State run ends here. Dr. Smart is just not going to get outsmarted by DJ Burns. It's not going to happen.
That's unfortunate.
They're going to put on defensive masterclass. Marquette advances.
That's unfortunate when NC State beats Marquette and you both sit there and eat your words. That's very unfortunate. My phone will be sitting beside me because if they win that game, I'm calling both of you. I'm gonna make you feel the pain of that one if it happens. You watch.
It's a win-win for me because if NC State wins, I'm gonna be happy because I love seeing double-digit seeds make the Elite Eight. But at the same time, if my prediction's right, then that's good for me too. So I see it as a win-win.
Next up, number 1 seed Purdue versus Gonzaga. Zach Edey is playing the best March Madness of his career this year.
Yes, and
guess what? You want to know what, Ben? He's done. He's done. This is the end of the line. This is the end of the line. Gonzaga will be in the top 4. Gonzaga will be the team to knock Zach Edey off of his pedestal for this year.
Yeah. I mean, you look at it, I did have Gonzaga losing in the first round. I had some really crazy takes for the first round this year. I was trying to go all
I could say.
I messed up a little bit. I got some right, but I think I picked too many up. This year, the issue this year was there was so much chalk. It's the 5th time in NCAA tournament history that every number 1 and 2 seed has made the Sweet 16. So kind of hard year to make predictions. But with that being said, I am going to stick with my predictions, and I'm going to pick Purdue to win it here, make it to the Elite Eight. I think Zach Edey's been really good. I feel like Gonzaga hasn't played a very tough opponent. And these two teams have already played this season, and Purdue beat them. So while I do think Gonzaga can make adjustments, and Mark Few is a great coach, I think at the same time, Purdue has a great head coach. They have the best player in the country, and I think Zach Edey is really hungry. And this Purdue team has looked incredible, one of the hottest teams in the tournament so far. Again, they also haven't played any great teams yet, but I think this will be a really, really exciting matchup, just like all these Sweet 16 matchups. I don't think there's one matchup where I think it's going to be not close. Like I like all of the matchups here. In fact, actually, the last matchup here is the only one I don't think is going to be close, and I think you guys are going to disagree with me on that. But I have Purdue winning. I think Zach Edey makes it to his first Elite Eight of his career.
Gabe, you look pretty hyped when I said Gonzaga, so I think I know where you're headed.
I was pretty excited for that pick. I like that pick a lot. Listen, I've seen Purdue go down twice, and don't get me wrong, they are an elite team. Not just Zach Edey, the NPOY, whatever you want to call him, right? I mean, at least last year he was. But surrounding him, when you have shooters like they do now, that's a dangerous team. When you can pass it in, and he could just swing it out anywhere, and you got a 3-pointer waiting for you. But my dad, and Ben knows this, who does not watch any college basketball except for March, has developed, in my opinion, the perfect nickname for Zach Edey. And listen, I am a pure Zach Edey hater. He calls him Doofus. The guy cannot do anything.
Doofus?
He cannot do anything when he's not standing in the paint, right? All he does is little hook shots or whatever, and they bounce off the back rim. And
I'm not a Zach Edey hater, but that's kind of funny.
The Doofus goes down. He chokes. Listen, Purdue is an amazing regular season team, and they do well in the Big Ten championship or Big Ten playoffs or series, the Big Ten playoffs as well. But he is not made for March. Some guys are just not made for this time of the year. He is not made for that. He goes down, and I don't know why they have him going in the mid-first round in the NBA draft. He is not that good.
Ben's gonna hate me for this. I always hate myself for saying this, but they're the Sixers. They're the Sixers of March Madness. They have a big man that's good, and besides that, they're not that much, and they're not making it past. They don't make it far in the playoffs. It just won't happen.
Chris, I'm an Embiid hater, but listen, you're giving Zach Edey way too much credit with that. Embiid is the heart and soul. I mean, Zach Edey is the best player on that team, but Embiid is a good player. Zach Edey is whatever.
Seems like you're more of a Zach Edey hater than an Embiid hater.
I think you could say that, but I also recognize that Embiid is a good player.
Okay.
Even when he's not at the free throw line. which
All right.
that's something else. But
Brett,
Last
that
last
Doofus
game we
clip is gonna
got,
go
we'll
hard.
save our other predictions for next week when we know who's actually going to be facing each other in the next round. But Creighton and Tennessee, I'm going with Creighton. I really like this Creighton squad.
Yeah. This is like I just said, I mentioned, this is the only game I don't think is going to be close. And I could sound like an idiot, but I think Creighton's going to win this pretty comfortably. I know I think the reason why, and this is going to sound counterintuitive, but I think because they had a close game last round against a Texas team it was okay. Or against the Oregon team. Sorry, I was looking at Tennessee. They also had a close game, but Creighton, you know, they almost lost to Oregon, who they should have pretty comfortably beaten. They didn't have a great game defensively, but I think they're going to use that and make some defensive adjustments and continue with the offense that's one of the best in the country. And look, I mean, this team is the same team as last year, and last year they made a deep run in the tournament. So I think that experience, will help them in this type of environment, and I think they're going to win pretty comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Creighton's a good team, very good. But listen,
he's going against us.
Every single tournament, I feel like there's the fun players. There's the Doug Edwards, right? There's the DJ Burns and all those. But there's usually one player on a team that goes really far. That's a very legitimate team, a high seed maybe, that people just can get behind as like the best player in the tournament and possibly the best player in college basketball. That's Dalton Knecht. I think they advanced this. This guy put 40 on Kentucky earlier this month.
He's an amazing player.
He's the NPOY. He takes the tournament by storm. I mean, he's already been playing pretty decent, but I think it really starts against Creighton. I think he puts up big numbers this game, and I think they advance. Maybe not solely because of Knecht, but it's his team.
I mean, they are the Tennessee
Dalton
Connects. That should be their new team name for this season. I mean, he just carries that squad.
Interesting. Moving on to our next segment, our players of the week. I might as well start us off. If you know me well, I am the number one Daryl Morey hater on this planet. He's awful. You deserve to be fired 3 times because of how horrible you are at your job. And he ruins this organization day by day. Listen, I don't hate the Buddy Hield trade as much as I did when it first happened, but you gave up a lot for no reason. You gave up a lot, in my opinion. And you chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. You made Harden leave. You're awful. So my player of the week is, after the press conference last night, James Harden. They asked him if his relationship would ever be fixed with Daryl Morey, and quote unquote from James Harden, hell no. And I agree. You should never, nobody should be friends with that guy because he's the devil. He ruins basketball. He deserves to be fired. Daryl Morey, if you're watching this, I despise you, and you are awful at your job.
Let me jump in here real quick. I have a question for both of you. You're both very familiar with the James Harden situation. How has Daryl Morey not been investigated by the NBA for offering James Harden a max contract before he was able to do so? He offered him the contract, and James Harden has said everything except for that, right? He's basically alluded to that on numerous occasions. And then he's like, oh, he promised me something else. No, he promised you a max contract, and that's why you left when you didn't get it, which is completely valid. I agree with James Harden. If you're promised that, even if it's maybe a little illegal, you're going to stay and you're going to try to get that, or you get that contract when you go to sign. But why has he not been investigated for that? I'm pretty sure it's against the rules to be offering him that at that time.
Before I let Ben, because I know Ben's got something he has to say about that. Before I let that go, another big reason as to why I hate this guy. Hold on. Look at this. Look at this. Signed Patrick Beverly. That's my guy. That's my guy. When you lie to my guy and say you're not going to trade him and do so anyways, you are garbage. And that's why Daryl Morey is garbage. Go on, Ben. Destroy him right now.
Yeah. Look, guys, I'm not as much of a Dylan Morey hater as you guys seem to be. He's not. Sometimes being a GM is a difficult job, and you can't be a
No,
people pleaser.
no.
You can't be a
Listen,
people pleaser. Look, I
it's a
agree with you
hard
that
job, but you can't be this stupid. Like he's
the Patrick
stupid.
Beverly the Patrick Beverly trade was horrible. I will agree. It literally made absolutely no sense. Campaign is not necessarily a better player than Patrick
He
Beverly.
hasn't been bad either, campaign, but
Yeah,
like I'm not gonna
but like
trash
it was.
campaign, but like come on now. Like don't be
Yeah,
stupid. You're
yeah,
you're you're
but
acting dumb. He started a podcast in Philly with a Barstool member who's from Philly. Like he obviously wanted to stay the rest of his career here. His career's not that much longer until he retires. He's getting up there in age.
well,
Think.
I know who we're not gonna ever have on the show. Um, but going back to Gabe's question, look, I think the NBA has bigger problems, which is thank you, Gabe, for giving me a smooth transition into my player of the week, Mr. Jonte Porter, from the Toronto Raptors, is currently being investigated for his alleged role in a gambling plot, as apparently he bet on his unders. And I don't know if
For
you've seen. I
for
don't know if you've.
context, for anyone who doesn't know, this is Michael Porter Jr. of the Denver Nuggets. It's his brother.
No, it's. Oh yeah, it's his brother. I was gonna say it's not him, but it's his brother. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And I haven't
um,
seen him touch the court once. So betting your
yeah.
under is gonna work every time.
But no, the funny thing is, I don't know if you've seen the video that surfaced, but there's this one video of him. He's on the court and he banks in a three, and he has this disgusted look on his face. I don't know if there's any more obvious evidence than that. Like he made a three and he looked pissed. It was
I
like
need to check
because
out that video.
he banked it in. You can look at um all our viewers look it up um after you listen through our podcast. But yeah, it's a very interesting video. And look, this is the NBA needs to tread their waters carefully when it comes to this, because this could get really bad. I'm all for sports betting. I personally don't do it myself, but I'm
I
all
do.
for it. If you want to do it, that's fine. It's fun. My roommates do it all the time.
UFC is the best thing to bet
Um,
on.
Yeah, but look, I think player props need to be looked at because some of them are just way too specific and way too easy to rig. And honestly, like this is a conversation more at the college level. I think at the college level they should be banned. I agree with what Pat McAfee said on his podcast. He was saying how player props for college players should be banned. I do agree. I think at the college level, betting should be a little less specific because it's not really their job. They're just kids, and they're students first. So I think that should be pulled back a little bit. But then at the same time, the NBA, the, I, look, I just don't think these professional leagues should have official betting partners. I think they can't be super intertwined with each other. Sure, they can have some sort of sponsorship. Sure, whatever, the NBA can have commercials, whatever. But I think it's getting too intertwined right now, and it's at a dangerous level to where people are going to start questioning the integrity of the game, which is just not what anybody wants at all. So I don't know what you
Mhm.
guys
And
think about that, but
I think you're absolutely right that it needs to be looked into, even though sports betting is fun, dare I say. But I also think there's another element to this, right? We're looking at Jonte Porter, we're looking at an NBA player, right? Let's look at a sport in which I talked about in one of my classes last semester. It's professional tennis, right? We see like the top players in the major tournaments, but when you go deeper into it and you go into like the players ranked below like the 250 mark maybe, it starts to get a little sketchy because you have these lower level tournaments where players are playing others that are just so far below their skill level and you're able to bet on it. So these players that are like ranked really low, they might not even be making any money playing tennis. It might be losing money when you consider traveling, coaching fees, hotel fees, everything that's included. So why don't I take out a little loan? I'll put it on me to lose a set here, even though I'm much better than this player. I'll lose a set and win, right? So I win the money from the match. I also lose a set, so the over cashes on the over 2.5 sets bet, and I make my money for the year, right? It happens at least it seems like it happens pretty often. I don't know if they're cracking down on that yet, but there's so much, right? The NBA, the DeJounte Porters are just the tip of the iceberg. And the bottom of the iceberg needs to be examined. It'll get examined at some point, I'm sure, but there's a lot of sketchiness with professional betting. Now that I've gone on my tangent, my fans player of the week, Chris, you hate Daryl Morey. Ben, you're talking about some criminal activity. I'm going to elevate the mood a little bit, all right? Tyler freaking Adams, the former captain of the U.S. men's national team over this past World Cup cycle. There's a lot of questions. Should we start Johnny Cardoso at the CDM? Should we start Yunus Musa as the third center mid? What do we do here? Tyler Adams, he's been injured so often recently. He comes out, he starts against Mexico, our arch nemesis. He scores an absolute worldie in our route against El Tri in a 2-0, should I say, win against El Tri. And our, what is it, third or fourth consecutive Nations League title? Yeah, we're calling him El Tri, right? Yeah. No E, just the L, just the capital L.
I love that L.
It's so nice to be that far ahead of Mexico at this point. And I'm looking forward to this Copa America cycle, even though we have Greg Berhalter at the helm. Yeah, I think our team's looking pretty good, though.
Yeah, I definitely
Tyler Adams, my player of the week.
I definitely during the summer when it gets closer to Copa America, I want to try and do some Copa America predictions. But yeah, I mean, me and Gabe were texting back and forth during that game, and I mean, I'll just give to Greg Berhalter. You get the 2 finger clap.
Not even a full clap.
Yeah, no, you got to give him some credit though. I mean, I will say though, him celebrating with the players after they scored was kind of weird for Nations League, but he did probably realize his job was probably on the line. Like if he lost that game to El Bum Tree, like would have been really bad. Especially coming off of that Jamaica game, which they shouldn't have won. But yeah, I mean, what a streamer from Tyler Adams. And look, I was part of the choir saying start Johnny Cardoso. This kid's been super hot since his transfer out of Brazil to Spain and Real Betis. But look, I mean, I'm really excited for this team. I was really excited for them for the last World Cup. They outperformed my expectations. And going to the next one on home soil, which I'm sure me and Gabe will definitely be at some of the games. I don't know about you, Chris, but absolutely. I'll be at some of the games. I'm just really excited. I know it's a long way away, but big shout out to Tyler Adams and the rest of the USMNT.
Moving into our next segment, MLB storylines, what's coming and stuff like that. Shout out to the MLB season finally here. I'll stand up so the fans can see. Wearing one of the GOATs right now, Jackie Robinson, helped create baseball what it is today. Love you, J-Rob. We miss you, buddy. Let's start off with one of my favorite things, which we actually spoke about off show through text, the three of us. Yamamoto, what happened? Isn't that your rookie of the year? Uh-oh.
Okay. Look, we talked about this, bro. That ballpark is a bandbox.
I don't care.
Dude, come on.
What was that? $300 million, huh? Is that what you want $300 million to look like? Meatball down the middle. Yama meatball.
Dude.
He was giving everybody free home runs, bro. Dude, they put up 15 runs in that game.
Yeah, it was I mean, come on, like
don't you even dare say that don't you even dare say, oh, but the Dodgers put up 12. The Dodgers have a stacked lineup and the Padres pitching's awful. I don't even want to hear it. You let them put up 15 runs on your head.
It was one game. It was one game.
They don't even have Soto anymore.
I'm not gonna change my tune from one game. I'm not a homer.
No Soto, no Hater. Like they're and they still put up 15.
Their offense is still good. I mean, you know,
it's not horrible, but it's not like
it's not horrible. Dude, they just lost Juan Soto. Their offense is still really
losing
good.
Juan Soto was a big deal.
And maybe
It's
to
a
you.
big deal.
I'm not a huge Juan Soto guy, but
Neither am I, but he's still a top 10 player.
yeah, we'll have to. I'm gonna wait to give it a week or two. Give him another start or
All
two,
right.
and we
I'll
can come
wait till
back to this.
Yamamoto pitches his second start of the season and
Well,
lets up
yeah,
another 4 runs.
at the end of the day, his record is still 0-1. There's a lot of baseball left to be played,
Yeah, and Gabe,
obviously.
guess what?
We'll give him some
His
space.
record's gonna be like a 5-16. You watch.
All right.
Jeez. Someone's
I'm a
hater.
Yamamoto hater. Yeah, I don't like him. I don't like him.
All right, well, the Dodgers are up 6-1 right now as we're recording so,
Against who?
against the Cardinals.
Wow.
Yeah,
Big
no,
big
super
deal,
impressive.
huh?
Shout out
Big
to
deal,
Miles
huh?
Michaelis. Shout out to Miles Michaelis. Who's
Yeah,
somehow
you know
still
who I
pitching.
said had one of the worst pitching staffs in baseball? The Cardinals.
They definitely are an interesting pitching group, I must say.
An interesting pitching group, huh? Is it because every pitcher in
Question
their
mark.
starting rotation is at least of age past like 33? Mikolas is like 33. Kyle Gibson's like 35. Lance Lynn's like 45 at this point.
Well, they got
You're better
got
off
a
bringing
little
Adam
older.
Wainwright back out of retirement with this rotation, dude. Jesus. You're going
They
for the
haven't-
oldest lineup in baseball history. Sonny
they brought
Gray's
in
like
Matthew-
35 too.
They brought in Matthew Liberatore, who's young-ish,
Wow.
but
Big
he's not good. So
difference. The only
he's not
good
good,
guy
so.
you have in your entire pitching staff is Ryan Helsley. Hell's Bells. Only
Yeah.
good guy you got. He's your closer. So, I mean, your closer's not going to matter when your pitching staff's going to let up 10 runs because of how old your guys are. Now they can't even throw past 70. Jesus, man. Moving on. We're still sticking with the Dodgers because I did want to touch base on this guy real quick. Will Smith got a 10-year extension for $140 million. That's a really underpay.
I completely agree. I thought
That's an underpay.
that
That's
was some of the most
bad.
underrated.
I don't know why he accepted that at all. You're a top
That
3
was-
catcher in baseball already,
I
behind Adley and JT, and you're gonna stoop to 140 for 10 years.
Yeah,
You see the guys of his caliber who get like long-term contracts, they make a lot more than 140. That you're gonna get paid like 20 a year, not even less. What does that come out to per year?
Yeah.
Or do they have it set up to where
14.
he gets paid cheap at first, and then
I
it's
don't
probably
know.
set up
I
like
don't
that,
know if
right?
but it's 14 a year, so even that's disgustingly cheap. I think,
Nothing.
dude, I
Catchers
don't
get
get it.
paid in the league. Like a catcher does get paid in the league. You've seen it with JT. Adley's gonna get a big contract. You've seen guys like of that role getting paid. Isn't Wilson Contreras getting paid more than that right now?
Yeah. Can I say something? When are we going to start calling this Dodgers team the modern day New York Yankees? They just throw money at everything that walks and hits a baseball.
Just
It's
in the end choke
that's
it
what I'm
all.
saying. They're exactly the same, bro. The last decade's Yankees, this decade's or 2 decades ago Yankees, I'd say, they had more. They still choked, but they had at least they won a couple rings. The Dodgers have one to show for it, one single ring. Dave Roberts, that guy is a bum as a manager. He stinks. I'm glad he's their manager. You know, like just as like I was glad the Giants hired Gabe Kapler. I'm sad they fired him because that guy was a bum too. But yeah, if you like the Dodgers,
Good
get
for
a
you,
life.
I guess.
I don't know. Like I'm sorry.
If you don't win this year
Unless
and
you're-
you sign
unless
5
you're
of the
from
top
LA.
10, yeah. If you didn't win this year and you signed 5 of the top 10 free agents, you just suck. You suck.
Well,
they
I
don't-
mean, maybe that's the pitch though. Is that if they don't win this year, they suck, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
And they're
14
not
mil a
gonna
year
win. They're
for
not
one of the best
gonna
players
win.
at his position. Yeah, but you're one of the players on the team. You sign a contract. You're Will Smith, right? You sign that 140 10-year contract. I mean, at that point, 10 years. I don't know how long this team will stay together for, but like you're almost guaranteed a World Series, right? You don't think so?
Well, I think it's more
Gotta
for
wait and see.
I think it's more for his personal security because catchers tend to fall off a cliff when they get older. So
Right.
I think the length is good for him. I feel like he could have gotten a larger AAV if he went to the open
For
market,
sure.
but
For
I don't
sure.
know if he could have gotten 10 years anywhere. So I think that's what he was trying to secure more than the actual AAV. I think it was just the total contract was more than some other teams would offer him.
And he's also going to win.
That's fair. Yeah, but Gabe, like I said, bro, they choke, and part of that reason is probably because Shohei might not even play if this is true.
Yeah.
He gonna get a nice suspension, and you know what's gonna look good? You know what's gonna look good? Come time for it, Ellie De La Cruz. He's
Dude,
gonna
this guy,
smooth the right. He's literally gonna come right in. He's gonna swing right in, say hello Dodgers, and then 2 seconds later, bye Dodgers. After he knocks him out because he's Ellie
okay.
De La Cruz,
So,
and you can't contain him. You cannot contain him.
You brought up the Shohei Ohtani thing. I want to talk about that because apparently I'm like the betting scandal person now because I always bring up all the betting scandals. Like, is this what I
Yeah,
become?
I could see that.
I'm the
Like,
betting
what's going
You're
on,
the
scandal
Tennessee
man.
Titans and you're betting. That's what you are. Tennessee Titans and betting.
Well, no.
Yeah,
I'm
he
like
is a Tennessee Titans fan, and guess what?
No,
Guess who's on that
no,
team, Gabe?
wrong.
Gabe, guess who's on that
Oh,
team?
Who's on that
Calvin
team?
Ridley. It fits
Wow.
perfect for you,
Wow.
Ben.
I'm just
You
taking
like
my own grave.
L'Jarius Sneed now too, which by the way was an awful trade. It's a lockdown corner. He was debatably the second, third best cornerback.
They had to. They didn't have the cap space.
Yeah, but you could have gotten a lot more for a guy like that, in my opinion.
That's true.
Eagles would have given you more. They would have given you a 7th.
No, but I think with the Shohei Ohtani thing, I think if he was guilty, he wouldn't come out and have that kind of press conference. You know, I felt like the press conference to me showed that he's not guilty. Do I think he did something?
I don't think
that
he's
he shouldn't?
guilty either, to be honest.
I don't think he's going to get suspended. There's no chance he gets suspended. He's the MLB's darling. If they suspend him, they're committing marketing suicide. Like, there's just no way they could suspend him. He's their biggest star. Do I think he might have done something semi-illegal? Yes. Was it completely to his knowledge? It doesn't really seem like it. It kind of seems like it was behind his back, or he gave him the money and he didn't really know where it was going. But yeah, I just think Shohei just doesn't seem like the type of guy that would do that. And at the same time, he makes so much more money than all these other guys that are doing sports gambling. Like, what? Like, why? Why would he do that? It really, if you put two and two together, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to why he would do that. And the evidence that we have publicly as of now doesn't really seem strong enough to say that he had a major role in it. But I don't know what do you guys think about that?
I'm gonna get really
I haven't thought. Yeah, I haven't thought much on it. I just think that he's not guilty. But go on.
I'm gonna get really conspiratorial here for a second, if that's even a word, right? 1994, certain NBA player retires, okay, from basketball for a couple of years after the death of their father to go play minor league baseball, right? What if the MLB isn't going to suspend him? You're saying, right?
Yeah.
What if he retires from baseball, right? He goes and plays a little G League hoops for a couple of years, and then comes back a couple of years later. Boom! Nobody's talking about the betting scandal. He's back to being Shohei Ohtani. Okay. In all seriousness, though, I don't see a suspension. I don't know if he's guilty. At the very least, I'll say this: at least his interpreter used a bookie, not a sports book. Because who was it? Was it Calvin Ridley that used FanDuel and had like his name as the username or something like that? Because that's just crazy to me.
Bro, Gabe has like the best 2 clips of this episode, bro. Dude, that's so funny. Yeah, dude, he's gonna pull Michael. I actually do have a deep down feeling that Michael Jordan was actually suspended.
I kind of believe that too.
It seems like a David Stern thing to do.
I got one last MLB storyline, then we're gonna wrap it up. This one hurts me because I'm a fan of this guy and he just disappointed me. Jordan Montgomery, you finally signed. I liked you on the Cardinals. I liked you on the Yankees. I really supported you on the Rangers. Really did, because I really liked that Rangers team. You should have went back to them. They gave you a ring. And out of any team you pick the D-backs. Disrespectful. You went to the team that tried to take a World Series away from you. That's horrible. And I hate the Diamondbacks. I hate the Diamondbacks. I hate the Diamondbacks. I hate the Diamondbacks. And you decided I'm going to sign a 1-year, $25 million deal just because you think people were going to pay you on an AAV salary of $43 million a year, which was what Max Scherzer was getting paid in his prime. You listen, Jordan Montgomery. Listen, watch this podcast and listen. You are a good pitcher. You pitched very good in the playoffs. You are not Max Scherzer, buddy. Max Scherzer has the resume. He has the career behind him over what? How many strikeouts, Ben? 3,000 at this point. He's what? A 2-time Cy Young, I think. I mean, he played with one of the other best pitchers in history, as in Justin Verlander, and both of them are neck and neck, pitching stat for pitching stat. I mean, come on now. You're not Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer has multiple rings. He's an insane player. You got to sit here and understand your value sometimes. There's players like, you know what? I'm going to relate this in a sense. He reminds me of when Dennis Schroeder, do you remember when he wanted that really, really big contract when he was on the Lakers and he was like, what was it, like 80 million for 4 years or something like that? And
Yeah,
then he signed for a
That's what it
minimum. That's how this kind of reminds me. Like, you got to understand your value. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not bashing you in because you're a good player. I respect you as a player. But obviously I'm bashing you in for the team you chose. But like other than that, like you got to understand your value here.
Yeah. I'm ready to go on a tangent, Gabe, unless you have something you want to add, but I'm about to go on a tangent to follow that up.
Before you go, only other thing
yeah.
I'm gonna say, be prepared for when the Phillies come because they're gonna crush you. We're gonna crush you. It's gonna happen. Watch. Go on.
Gabe, do you have something to say or?
Go for it.
All right.
I know you have something.
Hold on. Let me move into frame here because I keep leaning back.
Hmm.
Hello, Mr. Scott Boras. I hope you're listening. Please leave baseball forever and never come back. You're ruining the sport that I love. Scott Boras is a super agent. For those of our viewers who don't know, a super agent who has a ton of baseball players as clients, and one of them being Chris's now favorite player, I guess, Jordan Montgomery. No, I'm just kidding. But this guy ruined MLB free agency back before Scott Boras was a thing, or not even before, like before the past 5 years.
He also should not have signed one day before the full opening day because the season already started at that point. Like,
but
go on.
Yeah. So Scott Boras has decided that he wants his clients to make an insane amount of money, no matter where it is, no matter what the kind of deal it is. But he always overprices his clients. He does not understand value. The Bryce Harper contract, that's different. Bryce Harper is a generational talent, changes a franchise. But you look at guys, Cody Bellinger. I'm sorry, you had a good season, but you're not getting a $200 million deal. He's not getting a $200 million deal.
Take Cody Bellinger's name out of your mouth. I respect Cody Bellinger a lot. That's my guy. Don't disrespect Cody Bellinger on this podcast. I won't allow it.
I'm not. He's not a $200 million player.
Yes,
and that's what he wanted. No, he's not. He had one good season.
He's had multiple good seasons of his career.
Yeah, he's had multiple, but those were years ago. He had 3 bad seasons in a row and then one good one, and he wants $200 million. That's dumb. You should look at the statistics.
Apologize to him right now.
I am not. I'm apologizing.
You should, because I like Bellinger.
I don't care that you like him.
That was disrespectful. Go on. Could have picked any other player.
Well, that was another guy this offseason. But again, Jordan Montgomery, like you said.
At least he signed before the season started, damn it. Give him some credit. Jeez.
But yeah, I mean, my tangent aside, my point is, the MLB either has to get rid of Scott Boras, which I don't think they can do because he has a ton of power, or do something about the offseason. Make it a certain time period or something. Tell clubs be like the NFL. The NFL, the first 2 days or even the first days before free agency even starts, they get a ton of news. And you know how many online clicks they get? A ton. It's just the NFL is constantly trending on Twitter, and now it's only a 3-day period. But you look at the MLB, almost never is trending on Twitter. You have a guy in Blake Snell, Cy Young winner last season, held out until 2 weeks ago. And again, he did sign a little bit before the season. But I'm sorry, if somebody's winning a Cy Young,
2 weeks ago? It don't even feel like 2 weeks ago.
It
Felt
was
like last
it was
week.
maybe it was last week. It was either a week or two ago. But nobody should be signing that long. MLB free agency is like 3
And he
months
didn't get that
long.
much. He really
Yeah.
didn't get that much.
Again, another Scott Boras guy. Look, it's just I don't want to harp on Scott Boras forever, but the MLB has a lot of issues. I think the Hall of Fame is an issue. I hate how they do the Hall of Fame, and I think free agency is another big issue. And in
The Hall of
combination
Fame
with
should
both,
be fixed in the MLB. Go on.
yeah, but a thing that's intertwined with that is marketing. MLB has the worst marketing of any major sport, and that includes hockey. Hockey has better marketing, and MLB is bigger than hockey, but I see more hockey marketing than MLB, and it makes no sense. When was the last time you saw a Mike Trout ad? Let me ask both of you. When was the last time you saw a Mike Trout ad?
It's been a while. I've seen Shohei ads, not Mike Trout.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Mike Trout is the best player of the last 20 years. Outside of, a Barry Bonds, who's probably the best player of all time. You don't see him being marketed.
No, come on. We'll save that for another time, but no, he's not the best player of all time.
It sounds like he just opened a can of worms.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's all I have on that. I could talk about that forever, but it just I love baseball so much, and it could be so much better if they fix these little things. But I will say, Rob Manfred, I am a supporter of you in the fact that I like a lot. I like a lot of his rule changes. I love the extra innings rule. I love that rule. It's so fun. But
I'm not a fan of him. Gabe, are you a fan of him?
I don't know how to look at it, honestly. I mean, let me go to Chris. Let me go to you first, because you said you're not a fan of him. Are you a fan of just like baseball being played the way it's traditionally played? You don't like the sped up format, or is there something else that you don't like?
I don't mind the sped up format. I just don't like any commissioner really of any sport.
That's pretty fair.
They're kind of in a.
They pretty much suck. They pretty much suck. And just to be fun while I'm at it before I close the shop for the show today. Roger Goodell, you suck. Adam Silver, you suck. All four of you just suck. I forget the name of the dude for the NHL, but you suck too. Yeah. That'll pretty much be it for the show today, though. I want to give two quick shout outs though. My first shout out, Sam Franklin Jr., former Temple player for the Temple football team, played safety, finally got a contract done, re-signed with the Panthers. Really wish the Eagles would have signed him as a backup. He's always been one of my favorite guys to come out of Temple. If you know me well, he gave me his gloves during one of the games, and I've loved them ever since. Diehard Sam Franklin Jr. fan. I wish you the best of luck, my guy. And he was always such a positive guy. I love that. Second shout out. Oh, this one stung a little bit when I saw the post. Inez Piper, I hope you succeed. I hope you go really far wherever basketball takes you next. We really appreciated you on the women's team. They had a great run this year. So thank you for everything you've done for us. That'll be it for the show today. Stay hyped, stay hungry, and keep the frenzy alive. And we'll see you on the next one.